What's up? How's everybody doing? Got a good show. My wife, my loving wife, as I was getting ready to come down to the basement to do a show, asked me what color underwear was I wearing. Odd question. She asked because I'm wearing blue on the top, blue on the bottom, and she wanted to know if I was wearing blue underwear as well to complete the trifecta. And then, as I said, I'm not answering your question, she called me a Smurf and started singing the Smurfs theme song. So that's the kind of mood I'm coming into this live on. What's up, everybody? But my wife did get me this mug, if you can see it. Very fitting, very appropriate. Democrat, no. Republican, no. Rational human being, yes. What's good? What's good? Got a good show. Got good topics. Got good topics today. So many topics I didn't know which one to kind of start with or even headline or what. But what's happening in San Francisco, that's going to be the headline topic. It is a white pill moment. It is exactly the strategy that one Mr. Steve Bannon has been promoting. One Democrats are very worried about. State and local levels, they are very concerned about that. Very good story out of San Francisco. Got a story about University of UNR. Is it Nevada? I believe the school is in Nevada. Students walked out in protest on the muzzle. They didn't want to be, well, no, they walked out in protest because of the muzzle. But the protest was they wanted to be muzzled. So that's why I thought it was just a quick, easy, fun story. Disney World is building up more communities. Disney World communities. Okay. They're going to build up their own communities. I didn't know they had already started. Dystopian much. Trump is still living rent-free in the heads of many corporate Democrat supporters. I'm going to talk about that in Truth Social. Then we got to talk about Black. I think you probably figured if you've seen the headlines, we're going to have to talk about Black Lives Matter. And boy, is it interesting every time they come up in the news. It's interesting, but it's never in a good way. Let's start with Disney. I'm going to take a look at the chat, make sure my audio's good. Everybody's chilling. What's up? Let's go. Let's see who's in the chat. Dina Marie, what's good? Casual Goats, nice seeing you. Donald Williams, representing Traverse City, USA, all the time. Bishop, what's up? So let's get started. Disney. They are expanding on the communities that they already have, and they're calling this thing the Storyliving by Disney. Let's take a look at this video, skip around a little bit in it, and let's kind of see what Storyliving's all about.
Disney has shared stories that have touched the hearts and minds of people around the world for nearly 100 years. At Disney parks, experiences, and products, our job is to turn dreams and stories into reality, into something that you can touch, taste, and smell, something you can feel and experience and share with those you love. Disney experiences are magical because they start with great storytelling. They include a quality that is unmatched anywhere in our industry. And of course, they're brought to life by our world-class Disney cast members. And every time we reach a new horizon, we start to dream a little bigger and we look for new ways to tell our stories and to connect with more people.
Okay.
It's all part of our boundless exploration to provide experiences for guests beyond the theme parks, no matter where they are.
As Imagineers, story is at the heart of everything we do, and we love bringing authentic places to life to immerse you in those stories.
Our consumers trust that experiences that Disney creates will be enriching, adventurous, and fun for all involved.
Okay, so where is this going?
Let's see. It will have that special Disney touch, attention to detail, and innovation.
And while we're known most for our theme park experiences, we've built an incredible legacy of going beyond the parks, finding new ways to make magic
Okay,
for Disney
they're gonna go
fans
beyond
in
the
beautiful
parks.
locations, both on land and at sea. I'm proud to announce our next Disney experience, Storyliving by Disney. All new Disney-branded master-planned residential communities designed to be the perfect setting for Disney fans to write the next exciting chapter in their lives. And some neighborhoods will be planned for residents ages 55 and over. Storyliving by Disney allows us to leverage what we do best: world-class service, legendary storytelling, and creativity. This exciting new venture will enhance, extend, and strengthen the Disney brand by allowing us to bring the magic of Disney to places you may never have expected.
These vibrant communities will be infused with Disney placemaking. Picture an energetic community with the warmth and charm of a small town and the beauty of a resort.
So I'm going to stop this promo here. I watched this promo and I've been reading about it, and I still don't understand what it is. I still don't understand what this Disney Storyliving is. Really, it comes across as just a fancy way of saying a new build, like a new build in your area, but it's going to be owned and branded by Disney. That's my takeaway from it. Disney for adults. So it just, why do they brand it? This is like a new home living. Like, you don't, Disney for adults? Okay, I guess. And then the other part is story living. So are they trying to tell a story with this? I think this is deeper than the first reports state. I think they're up to much more than what we see. No surprise there on the surface level. So it's going to have condos, homes, full-blown homes, water recreation, all that kind of stuff. So this is their latest project. Obviously, it's targeted at adults, and not just adults. We're talking about probably the 1%ers. Who else is going to be able to afford here? We're not talking about affordable homes, unless something surprising happens. But the ones they have now are not affordable homes. So it's going to be in the Greater Palm Springs area. There'll be a 55 older, kind of like a senior community. The concern that I have, you might be like, okay, what's the big deal? It's just a, whatever you want to call it. It's not like a big deal or anything like that. It's, somebody might say that, but Disney is the same company that owns ESPN. Disney's knee deep in wokeism. It's not like the other ones that they have were built in 2010, 2011. This is what some people who are working at ESPN are alleging right now as a toxic workplace. Imagine living in this community.
This is Sports Center.
Global entity of forced thought.
So I'm Trevor Adams. I'm a studio operator for ESPN. I came to you guys because I want to say ever since I started with ESPN, I've just witnessed lots of discrimination, racism.
I know the comments that have been made to me at work and the conversations that have been had in front of me at work, just blatantly racist, just blatantly complaining to me that we have 3 white hosts. And I'm like, what do you want me? Do you want me to leave? My work. I got to the point a couple weeks ago where I had to say to somebody, do you not know my work ethic? We've known each other for 4 years. Do I not deserve to be here?
As we just saw with Maria Taylor and Rachel.
Exactly. And like I said, at the end of the day, they're choosing between us and social media reaction.
The BLM movement, the diversity, the racial and social justice, platforms that ESPN has propped it up, pushed forward, which every right to do that. But yet when you come here to work every day,
that's not how it is.
I can't look for them to do the right thing when it comes to social issues. We don't know what we're talking about. And we shouldn't comment on anything about it company-wide. There's no reason. We're not in the social business.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to be.
If you want to look for comment, comfort on it, how about this? Go to church or read the newspaper.
Going around and accusing people of being racist is bad. It's very bad.
If you have to put a color in front of it,
You're being racist.
Yeah, there's times where I've had a director basically call me a bitch on the headset, and that I'm just another white Trump supporter, and that if there were more women in this building, things would get done a lot better.
Imagine living in that type of neighborhood. Is that what you're bringing to us, Disney? I hope not. And those are all allegations that you heard there from Project Veritas. Project Veritas has been in the news lately. We'll get to another story later. But that's not what I'm hoping for. They said with the Storyliving, they're looking for new ways to make Disney a bigger part of your life. Who's got up in the morning and said, Disney's not a big enough part of my life right now? They're creating, and it looks beautiful. No fronting there. These are just the renditions of it, but people had to take it. There's usually a dark side when you have an exterior that looks like that. If you're listening to this, it's Senator Palpatine or the Emperor. And somebody tweeted, Disney Storyliving has announced the HOA president. This is what the town hall meetings would probably look like. Everyone wearing Mickey masks. Are you scared yet? The Disney squad is coming to my place in Storyliving because I forgot to pay rent. There's always going to be a dark side. I remember an episode of X-Files where they went undercover in a suburban neighborhood with HOA fees and all that other stuff. One of my favorite shows of all time, the X-Files. Here's what I would like to say. 2 can play that game. And if I had to choose, I know many people would be like, I don't want either one. If I had to choose, I think you know what I would do. Tesla to build a city, or even hundreds of Tesla cities. Let me know what you think. People in the chat raising concerns about Disney. Even without the wokeism, Disney's just a little weird to be living in a community that's branded as Disney for adults. Just a little much for me. X-Files is based in good, one of my favorite shows of all time. I've seen every episode probably 3 times. I go through it every once. While I haven't watched any in probably been 5 years. I don't watch much TV anymore. The only show that I'm into right now, my wife and I are watching Tommy. We've seen the first episode, that Tommy Power series. We're a big fan of Tommy, the character from Power, and they finally did a show featuring Tommy. I didn't watch the other ones. I watched the original Power, which had good parts and bad parts, and then now I'm watching Tommy. The other stuff is not good enough. Didn't catch my interest, at least. I trust Tesla, so somebody else does agree. Bishop does agree. Hey, and I hate to say this, it might come to a choice at some point. I know we're playing around with it and all that. There might come a point where we actually need to choose, because everything's going to be owned by these corporations. The one piece I didn't bring up was the ties between Disney and China. That is, that's a security issue, but I think we're pretty much beyond that. It's pretty much out in the open that China's running things as far as that goes, and in our country, to me, it's pretty much out in the open. So I guess it's not even worth bringing up at this point. Super chat, Eric Smith. Thank you, sir. Let's read this one. My history teacher had a famous saying that if something sticks around long enough, it becomes an institution and becomes corrupt, dark, and evil. Your history teacher was based, and I hope we have a lot more teachers like that. Thank you for the super chat, Eric Smith. Appreciate you stopping by. So we're going to go from the Tesla idea of the city to another. I just want to show the other side of the protests, the other side of, belief, because we talk about the truckers a lot. And I think everybody realizes, if you've listened to the channel, that I side with them in this one. Sometimes I think, I don't know the exact laws, but breaking the laws, whenever a government violates your constitutional rights, then anything can happen. And they put themselves at risk. That doesn't mean they're not at risk. They put themselves at a lot of risk, them and their families. But here's a different type of protest. UNR students, they staged a protest. I mean, this is University of Nevada, Reno. They staged a protest to walk out on campus. They did a little walkout. Why did they do that? UNR students and some faculty walked out Monday to protest the end of the Nevada mask mandate. They walked out not to protest having to be muzzled. They walked out because they want to be muzzled. Not just that, they want everyone else to be muzzled. That's what they walked out for. About 50 students walked out. They marched from the north end of the campus. I just want to show the other side. I mean, this is graduate student level stuff here.
Go Pack, step back! Our hope is under attack! We are here today to organize a protest to reinstate the mask mandate. This started on Thursday after Governor Sisolak dropped the mask mandate statewide, and shortly after President Sandoval dropped the mask mandate for UNR. We are out here to make our voices heard and to try and show UNR and NC in general that we care about reinstating the mask mandate. I feel honestly incredibly unsafe. We wear masks to protect ourselves and also to protect others. There's very good statistics that show that if you have an active COVID case and you are wearing a mask, you are protecting it spreading to other people. There are all these people now on campus who are not wearing masks who could possibly be spreading COVID, and that is, additionally confounded by the fact that we took away our vaccination requirement. So I have no idea of knowing how many of my students, how many of my peers, how many people walking past me are unvaccinated and spreading COVID at a much higher rate, putting me and again all of my community at risk. President Sandoval, please listen to us. There is a huge population of your university who feels unsafe. Please help us.
Where's our safety? Where's our safety?
I was flabbergasted that after being told over and over that the university and the Nevada system of higher education was going to follow the public health directives, the experts, and the CDC guidelines, that suddenly, apparently based on political considerations, we just removed the mask mandate with no warning. See here, I have my mask on. I will be wearing my mask as long as there's community spread.
Okay, we have no problem with that, bro. Go ahead and wear it. There's no problem. And yeah, you're right. Politics did play a role. Politics played the role that the Democratic establishment that you support, they had to roll back because people don't want this. So if they want to start a movement and they gain ground, you have to listen to them. Right now, it doesn't look like they have ground to me. And the energy wasn't exactly, I don't know. It wasn't exactly the type of energy that garners respect to me for a protest. They have garnered about 1,700 signatures online. So we'll see where that goes. I mean, if they want to, they can do the whole, I think there was something on there where you can do a pantyhose and do your N95s. And I just wish that they would be happy doing that and getting the procedure and not worrying about anybody else. Let me know what you think. This is a situation where Democrats playing the long game again. They have children, young children, people in universities. They have them pretty much on their side. They have them pretty much wrapped up. I'd be curious to hear what they said about this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is. And
all the time, should we be double masking? The CDC makes recommendations based on data that they accumulate because it's a science-based organization. Right now, they are looking at these different options of mask wearing. In the meantime, as I often get asked, should you be wearing 2 masks or 1 mask? And I say, there's no recommendation. However, there are many people who take the common sense approach. If you're talking about a physical barrier, and as the CDC recommends, you want at least 2 layers within the mask as a physical barrier, and you feel maybe more of a physical barrier would be better, there's nothing wrong with people wearing 2 masks. I often myself wear 2 masks. Can we make a general recommendation that doesn't have scientific basis yet? No. But when the science comes along and tells us that it is better or not, then you will see a recommendation being made by the CDC.
I'm just curious what they would say to that. I would have no problem, absolutely no problem, if they wanted to go ahead and do that. Dina Marie says, have you seen the Ron DeSantis campaign ad on his website? It's made its way around. No, I saw it. No, I didn't see it. I saw someone post it and I didn't happen to click the link on it. I'll probably look for it. So you said the ad's hilarious? Oh man, I can look to see if I can find it. The next story is going to be San Francisco. San Francisco, what's going on out there? Some really big news. I would say bad news for establishment Democrats. So I'll look up that ad, Dina Marie. Thank you. Casual Goat. So pants can't hide a fart. How does a mask stop this thing? That is a good question. I cannot explain that. I would wonder if Fauci could explain that for me. San Francisco had a recall election. There's been a lot of recall elections going on, a lot more than normal, and a lot of them on the local level. Most of them on the local level. California Democrats, establishment Democrats, are a little bit salty because the recall laws in California are easier to recall somebody than others. We saw that Gavin Newsom, it failed, but I think a little message was sent. Now we see that Chesa Boudin is under a recall. When is that done? When is the recall done for that? Seems like he's been under recall for 6 months. I don't know. I have to look it up. Can't be hard to find. But here's 3 that got recalled. San Francisco voters overwhelmingly supported the ouster of 3 school board members Tuesday in the city's first recall election in nearly 40 years. At the city level, that's what we're seeing. It was a landslide. This decision means that Lopez, Collins, and Maliga will officially be removed from office and replaced by mayoral appointments until the next election in November. So Mayor London Breed has jumped aboard this. She has no choice. Jump aboard or you might be next in this political reckoning. In one of the most Democratic populated cities in the world, second most, they rose up. They're the first elected officials in the city to be recalled in recent memory. The last time a recall effort made it to the ballot was 1983, and it was a failed attempt to remove then Mayor, oh my goodness, Dianne Feinstein. Oh my goodness. And she is how old now? Let me look it up real quick. She was mayor back then, and now she's 80, I'm going to guess 85. How old is she? She was born in 33. So she's going to be 80. I believe she was born in 33. Wow. We got so many people in their 80s. It's crazy. So she was the last one. Too bad that one didn't work. But so was she born in? She wasn't born in 33, was she? That'd be too old. Wouldn't that put her almost at 90? Let me double check that. There's no way she was born in 33 because we're in 22. 90 would be 23. Oh my. Is she? Oh my goodness. She was born June 22nd, 1933. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. She is a senator. Oh my gosh. That can't be true. She's that old? She's almost 90 years old? Oh my. I'm off tangent now. I knew she was in her 80s, but oh my gosh. Wow. Man, these people. There is no reason for someone to be 89 years old and representing us in DC. God bless her soul. I know we disagree on morals and such, but there is no damn reason that somebody that old should be in DC represented. That is corruption. So we know what happened with Gavin Newsom. I'm just in shock I didn't know how old she was. I mean, she's not even, I know there was rumors like she was losing her memory and, struggling. Like, I mean, she's 89. Wow. But do you know what office was the most common one to see a recall effort? School board. Do you know who? I'm not going to give him full credit for this whole thing, but he has been ahead of this push. Is Steve Bannon? He's basically, I don't know if he said this, but he's basically said the city, county, state level legislators, they're more important than anything else. He's been saying that. Democrats don't have a grassroots effort there. They've been able to get these DAs in by outspending, but you can't do it at every city level. So, yeah. A total of 233 school board members faced recalls in 2021. A number you have to assume was heavily influenced by fights over best practices in schools on how to deal with the pandemic. That's when everything changed. People started waking up. I'm going to talk about this here and end. Justin tweeted, because what happened is, of course, the news articles on this, like the San Francisco Chronicle and others, they were saying, well, it's just a fringe group. We've heard that before. And then they labeled everyone who was a part of the recall a Republican. And he's like, wait a second, 78% of San Francisco, the second most liberal city in the country, are folks with conservative values just because we think the kids in our city deserve a decent educational system with competent leaders? What a joke. They were trying to focus on renaming schools, which is what popped this whole thing off, instead of getting kids back in school. They were doing other things as well as doing lotto systems to get into some of these good schools instead of testing. So if you want to revamp that system, that's fine. Get the buy-in of your residents. People weren't happy because if I value the education of my children, now you can go homeschool, that's fine. But I really still respect people fighting through the school system. We talked about this. Let me tell you, Cassandra Fairbanks, or I think she got married and changed her name. I keep calling her Fairbanks. I think it's McDonald. But Cassandra, who I follow, was chatting online publicly on Twitter with Mike Cernovich. And she was talking about how she's in a deep red area somewhere in Virginia, I think, or West Virginia. And she was homeschooling, but her kid wanted to go to school. So she thought it was, I'm in a deep red area. I know that for sure. She brought up, let her, I think it's her daughter, sign up, get into school. Immediately, all this corporate leftist propaganda flooded the schools. It was like she wasn't even in a red district. My point is, you can homeschool, but that's not going to, we still would have to fight to make sure that these schools are as neutral as possible. Because if those schools aren't neutral, you can homeschool your kid, but we are going to be under corporate Democrat rule forever, because that's where they're pumping them out. So the fight doesn't stop with homeschooling. So yeah, let me know what you think. I thought that was a white pill moment. People, power to the people. The people have spoken. Let me take a look at the comments. Honkler, what's up? Casual Goats, far leftism. It is always based on ish, because normal people would not agree with it. Absolutely. That's why they need force. The vice president of school board said Asians hide behind white. Yep. I did see that, because it was, I mean, I hate going the identity route, but this is what was happening. A lot of the people who were upset were Asian Americans, especially about this lotto system in, I forget the name of the school, which was one of their better schools. So if you, it doesn't matter about identity. If you value education and you start young with your child, reading, my number one thing with the kids is reading. We read every night, at least. We've always read books all the time. And that gets them off to a good start. And you focus on their education, and you get to the point you want to get them in a good school, and it's a public school, then why are we doing a lotto system? If the residents in that area agree on it, then they agree on it. But it's being forced on them. That's the problem. If the residents say, okay, we're fine with the lotto system, then a lot of places have lotto systems. The big issue here is they didn't want to get the voice of the people. And then you try to hide behind this old racism stuff. Nobody want to hear that anymore. Nobody wants to hear that. Now, that leads us right into the next one. There was a study that was done, and this was from Politico, is where I got the article. And it might surprise you that they actually paid people to do this study. It's weird how you could, I think, waste money. You didn't need to pay anybody to get the information that I'm about to give you here that translates perfectly from the France situation to the bigger Democrat Party issue. GOP culture war attacks alarmingly potent, DCCC warned. So the Democrat committee, what this headline is trying to say, it's awkwardly worded, because I don't think they wanted to give non-Democrats like a layup, a slam dunk to clown them on. That's why it's so awkwardly written. What they're trying to say is nobody likes Democrats. That's basically what they're saying. Democrats' approach has been rebuked officially by their own polling, because people were trying to say the Murdoch polling that I used in a different article, oh, that's just Rupert Murdoch. Well, this is their own polling. Democrats' own research shows that some battleground voters think the party is preachy, judgmental, and focused on culture wars. No, that's not the Democrat Party that I know. No, they're not preachy at all. They're tolerant. They're reasonable. Preachy? Where would they get the idea that this party is preachy?
Speaker, St. Louis and I rise in support of the article of impeachment against Donald J. Trump. If we fail to remove a white supremacist president who incited a white supremacist insurrection, it's communities like Missouri's 1st District that suffer the most. The 117th Congress must understand that we have a mandate to legislate in defense of Black lives. The first step in that process is to root out white supremacy, starting with impeaching the white supremacist in chief. Thank you, and I yield back.
Yeah, white supremacist references 4 times in 30 seconds. Their policies.
We've been talking about defunding the police.
There's some issues that we ask police to do, like mental health issues or policing in schools and all the rest, that perhaps we can shuffle some of that money around.
Suck it up. Defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police.
Mayor Eric Garcia. That was right when the article came out that she was spending thousands of dollars on private security.
He's saying take some of the money from policing, about $150 million.
I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done.
Not only do we need to disinvest in police, but we need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
So yes, defund your butts. Defund you.
Yes, I support the reallocation of resources from NYPD.
We will be.
That's Jamal Bowman. He went with he was like, you know what? The defund the police, it's let's just say reallocate the resources. I was talking with Black Pegasus, who great MC promoter, and he has the channel where I was on recently. And he and I have the same experience. Like as we get older or got older, you got more and more to protect. The way I was at 18, and that's what these people are feeding off of, is young people. When you get older, and hopefully you're lucky enough to amass a family, get a place to live or something like that, I got not just material items to protect, I got a family to protect. And you talking about defunding the police. When's the last time you had an interaction with the police? Now, if you want to talk about minimizing interaction with police in inner cities or wherever you're seeing more, because the more interaction with police, the higher probability something bad is going to happen, whether you go to jail or whatever. But you're going to try and sell the nation on no police while you have private security? And you think that people are just going to be like, yeah? This is another white pill moment. They did the study, not me. Yes, they're preachy, judgmental, and focused on culture wars. That's being kind. I would say racist, manipulative. I would say corrupt. That's being kind. Here's a spokesperson, in my opinion, for the Democrat Party. She's all up in the establishment. Of course, she had a cameo on Everything's Gonna Be All White, the critical race theory show on Showtime through Viacom. Protecting white supremacy at all costs is the American way. She said that in regards to a report that a public school in Indiana is giving parents the option to opt their children out of learning about Black History Month. So I went through, many of you probably went through Black History Month in school. I didn't read that story, so I'll have to read more about it. But let's take it to a hypothetical. Let's say it was the Black History Month type of materials that I grew up on and many of you might have grown up on that was not critical theory. It was still identitarian. It was still leftist in nature, but it was more understandable. It was more neutral. It wasn't like white people hate yourself is basically what we've gone to. Even if it was that, why would your response be protecting white supremacy at all costs is the American way? The only reason you would do that is if you're an asshat, or if you want to stoke tensions, or if you want to manipulate this into your own power and rise to prominence. Jamel Hill, after Ibram, she has positioned herself after Ibram X. Kendi and Nicole Hannah Jones. She's probably one of the top critical theory people in the country, personalities. She's positioned herself very well. But wouldn't the natural approach be, well, if this is truly just Black History Month, why is it rubbing people the wrong way? Like, isn't that the first thing you would do? I don't know. Instead of accusing every white person of being a part of the Triple K, why not try to have a healthy discussion? No, that's not where we're at. So do you see why you didn't need to do the polling? You could have just came in the chat. You could have chatted with any of us here. White supremacy, right? My gosh, at some point you're like, damn, we got it. We get you. Oh, and then there's this. Yeah.
And for parents with kids too young to be vaccinated, surround your kids with people who are vaccinated.
Oh, okay. That made perfect sense. The party's House campaign arm had a stark warning for Democrats. Unless they more forcefully confront the GOP's alarmingly potent, they're, they're like they're using words in a weird way here to downplay how effective it is, because that's not naturally how I would say it, and that's not how they would say it in the back rooms. They would just say the GOP is kicking your ass. They would just say your policies are terrible. They would just say it all out. They're just trying to be diplomatic here. The culture war attacks, from critical race theory to defunding the police, they risk losing significant ground to Republicans in the midterm. That's assuming that our elections have integrity. So that's a big assumption to make. But assuming that they do, it's a landslide. San Francisco's removing people at the local level at a 78% clip. What do these purple states have? What representative like Lauren Underwood, I believe she's the 14th district of Illinois. What's she gonna do? She might as well pack up her office right now. And I think she's a very good representative. She got caught up in the critical theory stuff and all that, but it's hard not to if you're in that party. They got some decisions to make. So what they said was, if they basically lied about their positions, for example, say that they don't support open borders when they have the whole time, basically, most of them, the vast majority of them. If they lie about defund the police, maybe try to rebrand it, lie about critical race theory, it's too late. Nobody's going to believe you. They said if they don't change, the lead on the generic ballots in these swing areas balloons to 14 points. That means it will be an ass kicking of epic proportions. And they're trying to pivot a little bit, but I'm not seeing a huge pivot right now. I'm not seeing the pivot that is going to be substantial. This is a tweet from Defiant L's, who got banned and then reinstated on Twitter. Hillary Clinton back in the day. We just talked about this yesterday. Why do you think people don't like the Democrat Party? They see this, at least the ones, especially who are paying attention. Computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking Trump to a Russian-based bank. And then we find out, allegedly, Clinton campaign paid tech workers to dig up Trump-Russia connections. How are they going to trust you? Another white pill moment. Short term, we're seeing white pill moments. We got to take care of that indoctrination camp in school, but some good moments there. Honkler says white supremacy is a distraction. This is about class, the have and the have-nots. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's look at, this is about class. I 100% agree with that. I think the next thing to look at here is let's do a quick story on Trump. Trump, you might have seen that pictures leaked. Well, not leaked. Trump Jr. posted pictures on Instagram on what Truth Social is going to look like. And we've already known this is coming. I think it's coming out the end of March. So we've already kind of known this is coming. I didn't think it was going to be big news. It was trending on Twitter, and it was a hot topic. People were going at it. And you know what it made me think? It made me remember what Twitter was like when Trump was there. Twitter was lit when Trump was there. So breaking news. This was Donald Trump's first post on Truth Social. Doesn't that look very warm and familiar? The format. He says, get ready. He's verified, of course. Your favorite president will see you soon. Doesn't that bring back memories of when he was on? I was only on Twitter actively a little bit when Trump was there, but I was there enough to know that Twitter was crazy Every day was crazy when that dude was on Twitter. It's a small picture here, but if you look at it, doesn't that look familiar? It looks exactly like Twitter. Trump, you remind me of Kanye, like Conway's new alleged girlfriend. She's like a Kim Kardashian, like the generic version. Trump's like that bitter ex. Like, I want my new girl to look like my old girl. Come on, Trump. But if it's a format that works, I mean, literally, it looked like he just copied and pasted it. But in theory, that's what we would want, right? We would just be, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the format of Twitter, I don't think, unless you can do something better. Just copy it, paste it, and make it better. Now, it's still going to have to follow the app rules, so let's not get carried away. You still have to bend the knee to Apple and Google, so that's not a good thing. So America First got to take care of that when they get into office. But I thought that was funny, Trump. So Suburban Black Man tweeted this, and I think he was surprised too. He replied to his own tweet like, wow, I guess I ruffled a few feathers, or he said something like that. The libs are out in full force. They're sitting on Twitter typing truth social in the search bar and replying to anyone who is supporting President Trump's new app. Launches March 31st. How does it feel to be Trump's bitch? You're obsessed. You will be the first to sign up. And I think it triggered those who are anti-Trump, but I think it was right. They miss Trump. They would love to have Trump back. He's living in their heads rent-free. They miss having that target to go after. He's the shaker. He's the mover. He's the one that kind of let AOC always go after. AOC has never been the same. AOC has never been the same since Trump left Twitter. She's been on a down. She was one of the obviously most effective social media users that we've ever seen in DC or in politics ever. Trump's gone. She is flailing in the wind. She's not the same. She's really struggling. I think that's a big part. You put Trump back on Twitter, AOC is probably going to be right back on her game, picking apart Trump's misspellings and all that, stupid stuff that doesn't mean anything. Twitter was live and active. Even the news stories, they had to read what Trump was tweeting every single day, even the weekends. You know what? Here's my takeaway. Those who are anti-Trump, they're probably going to help make it the biggest platform that's ever launched. They won't be able to help themselves. They're going to run over there. They're going to rush over there. They'll rush over there in a heartbeat. Let me know what you think. Who's going to be on Truth? Who's going to Truth? I'm going to definitely check it out. The thing with the alternative tech side of things is there's a lot of options. It's almost too many options, I think. A lot of options. Like, where are you going to go? You're going to go Gab. You're going to go Rumble. You're going to go Minds. You're going to go BitChute. You're going to go Locals. I mean, at least Locals and Rumble will I think they will eventually meld together better. And then you have Getter. It's fragmented. The best one to me by far is Gab. I don't use it as much as I should, but they have their own servers. They're the best one. They have the closest thing to free speech out there, where you can see and hear all kinds of things. So I wish everybody would have rallied around Gab, but we'll see. Looking now, Locals, Rumble. I'm on all of those. I am on Twitter, Getter, Gab, Minds, Rumble, BitChute, Locals. Yeah, on every single one. Facebook is they're very strict. So I actually did just start a Facebook group just to play with it. I'm not like promoting it or anything. I just want to see the vibe and see if they censor or what, I just don't know about them. I used to be on Facebook personally, not like the show. And I dropped it because I was like, this isn't the format. I'm not feeling it. I do have an Instagram, but I don't even use it. And I'm on TikTok, but I don't use that much TikTok. They don't play at all. Now, they won't boot you off the platform as quickly, but they will pull down damn near anything. Anybody on TikTok, let me know. They are really strict on TikTok about the political stuff. Kind of like China. So let's do this. I want to talk about Black Lives Matter. So before I do that, I'm gonna queue it up, then go in the chat, see what's going on, because I haven't been able to check it out. But I do want to talk about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter they're special, man. They are. It's what the revelations that we're finding, and I am not surprised, because they had a deadline to file some of these tax forms, and we knew within a couple weeks, and it was about a couple weeks ago, we would hear how they would delay it or not produce it or produce it. Producing it would have been the preferable, choice, but they delayed it. Let's talk about Black Lives Matter and where they're at. Let me look at some comments before I cue that up. eWolf5150, thank you for the comment. I won't do any of those, even if I'm a huge Trump supporter. Just because you have the option to do social media doesn't mean we all should. Problem is, we kind of need to fight the culture war. I agree. Don't stretch yourself out too much. If you have something to promote, it's a little different. If you got booted off of one of these other ones, it's a little different. But I think I did a video way back, and the point of my video was, do not give up ground. The biggest platform is where you need to be to kind of, when I say fight the battle, it's really just get your point of view out into the ether or whatever. So there were people who, after Trump got banned on Twitter, that I followed a lot and chatted with a lot, who just left. They left Twitter. They're on Gab. And I told them, I was like, just take a second. We need you on Twitter. If you get banned, you get banned, but don't voluntarily give up ground. That's just my take, though. Yeah. BLM's pretty damn close. How many millions now? No, Honkler, let's do this. It's the same millions. It's the same 60 that we're looking for. Let's talk about it. So BLM accounting gimmick further delays disclosure of the $60 million. Who's in charge of it? Where is it at? We still don't know. And we should have known by now. But I don't think they broke any laws here. I'm not sure. I would think the IRS or somebody would want to look into it, but they delayed it. The national organization, we're not talking about the local chapters, the global network, the national organization used an accounting maneuver. This is from the Washington Examiner. They used the word appears, so they must not be 100% sure, but it seems like they used an accounting maneuver to further delay reporting of what became of the $60 million bankroll. Where's the money from 2020? One charity watchdog called this the worst transparency issue she has ever seen. Black Lives Matter, Global Network Foundation, they're the charity that serves the face of the national Black Lives Matter movement. They changed their fiscal year. So they changed the 12-month accounting to July to June instead of from January. So BLM now has until mid-May to report on what it did with the millions. So now we got to wait till May. They're buying time. That's for sure. People have scattered. Patrisse Cullors isn't there. Her girls aren't there. People are running, hiding, ducking, diving. Stay tuned. Wait till you find out who's coming in as the savior. Please stay tuned for that. Or come back if you can't stay. If you don't know already, you have to see who the savior is. Oh my goodness. So they reported a sparse short year form that didn't have much in there, only covered activities for the first half of 2020. They were entirely dormant because it came up in the middle of 2020. They were created, spun off of this other group, so they weren't created until the mid 2020. So they didn't report anything substantial. When the entity was entirely dormant, that's the period we're talking about. They were fiscally sponsored project of the California charity Thousand Currents. That's where the money transferred from the 60 million. It was like 66 million about transferred from Thousand Currents to the global network. Patrice Cullors signed off on that. And then they said they had some expenses. So we're looking at about 60 million that's unaccounted for. We have no idea who was supposed to be in charge. They stopped taking donations because it's very scandalous. Democrat attorney generals, district attorneys were like, what's going on? So they had to get a savior to come in. We'll talk about that. Given the money involved here, this is really unbelievable. Charity Watch executive director Lori Styron told the Washington Examiner. To not know who's in charge of the 60 plus million collected, they're still dancing around the issue. We don't even know if the money's still there. I think they just don't want to go too far. I'm just saying hypothetically, allegedly, we don't know if they still have the money. Like they're not going far enough here. We don't know where it is. That's what they're intimating at. Who's in charge of the 60 million of the national charity arm and arguably the most prominent social justice movement? It is the most prominent critical theory movement we've ever seen. And they said it's the worst transparency issue she has seen in her 18 years as a charity watchdog. So when you see who comes in to save this, you'll understand why corporations weren't asking, where's the money at? They probably knew what was going to happen. For everyone's sake, I hope this change in accounting period was not a strategic move to defer transparency on the status of the 66 plus. That's what we're talking about, the full 66 plus that was transferred over from the fiscal sponsor Thousand Currents. They will eventually have to report the 5 highest compensated independent contractors who received more than 100,000 between July 1st and 2020 when it files that in May. So they spent a lot of money because they reported to the IRS that they had 12.7 million in expenditures. So they somebody got the money. So it's not just the 60 million. It's okay. 66, did the 66 get transferred over? And how was the 12.7 expenditures? How was that spent? And then where's the 60 million? And then who were the highest paid? We got a lot to talk about in May. 3 key stakeholders were in control of the charity. They resigned. They were closely tied. They were like, yeah, we don't want to be a part of this. Patrice Cullors like, I'm out. She blamed it on right-wingers. The father of Cullors' only child, Damon Turner, he was paid to be a lead developer in their cultural efforts. The PAC paid Trap Heels, the company for her baby daddy, $150,000 to co-produce on election night live stream. So we're gonna look and see like what people they know, did they all get paid off? This is the part. So that's where we're updated. Like we should have by now known where the money went. So now this is part 2 of this segment. Part 2 of the segment is where it gets spicy, where it gets interesting, where it gets me amped up. This ties into what we were talking about yesterday. Believe it or not, it ties directly in. Well, it ties in. It is a connection. I need to draw one of my mind maps for this. After all this talk, Black Lives Matter is like white privilege, white supremacy. Then ish hits the fan, and who's the white savior? You got it. Hillary Clinton and Mark Elias. You can't make this up. You can't make this stuff up. Black Lives Matter filing reveals prominent Democratic lawyer Mark Elias, the one who said anyone who was involved with the insurrection should be banned from running for office, one of the more anti-Trump people out there. That one, the Democracy Docket website. He is the lawyer that's going to be representing them. Direct ties to Hillary Clinton. All that noise about this white and that white, and ish hits the fan, and you've got white saviors coming in. And it shows you the direct ties. How long were they? We don't know how long the relationship went. This was groundbreaking, eye-opening news right here. Longtime ally of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. They've taken on key roles in the charity amid scrutiny. Now those district attorneys are going to fall back. Is it clear? Can we say that Black Lives Matter was a psyop? Like, isn't that just obvious now looking at it? It might be time to put that phrase to rest, everyone. We don't need to worry about that too much in the chat here. We're fair-minded people, but if you're fair-minded and objective, you should probably put that phrase to rest. Minion Moore, who is tied to Hillary Clinton going back all the way to Bill, she rolls hard, die hard with the Clintons. She's now listed as a part of BLM's board of directors. So we came in and said, who's on the board? We don't know who's what. All of a sudden, this is the first we ever seen her name. So Hillary Clinton's always running stuff by layers of protection. The lawyer that she rocks with, you could call her, she's like an advisor. She was one of the 6 people that, Hillary had this circle of 6 people that were her close advisors. One of them was Minion Moore. How long has she been a part of this? Or is she just coming in here as a savior? Now, Minion, if you don't know, Minion Moore is black. So Hillary probably is like, she knew the optics would be crazy for her to come in on the white horse to save this organization. So they're probably going to put Minion Moore as the front of this. We don't know when the relationship started. We probably will never know. They will never tell us. They probably were tied in from afar, allegedly, this whole time, controlling things. And then now ish hits the fan. They got to figure it out. Get the eyes off of it. That will probably keep the IRS, SEC, everyone back off of this. So they we just talked about this maneuver that they pulled off to change the fiscal year accounting. So Hillary Clinton has had this Onward Together PAC, and then it was incorporated by Mark Elias in April. Elias was listed as the governor for the Clinton PAC, and according to the filing, Minion Moore was listed as the director president at Onward Together. So they've been working together. They've been doing stuff like this. So all Black Lives Matter looks like to me is an extension of those groups that they had already formed, the most successful version. Who knows what role Black Lives Matter played in making sure Trump didn't win. And what we talked about yesterday was the allegations of her other lawyer, Michael Sussman, who was trying to do the hit piece on Trump. You see that? And Black Lives Matter's number one goal was to remove Trump from office and to never let him run again from office. It sounds like it came straight from the mouth of Hillary Clinton. It's a Black Lives Matter organization, and that's their number one goal. It all ties together. It was just another front organization to get rid of Trump, to squash populism. So she posted on Facebook in May of 2020 that it would partner with Elias's Democracy Docket to protect Americans' right to vote by mail. Why did they protect Americans' right to vote by mail? Because voting by mail helps, even if you do everything assume everything was on the up and up. Voting by mail helps the Democratic establishment. We talked about that in previous videos. If you've got a lot of people in apartment complexes, you send people up in there You go, hey, have you voted yet? You're not going to vote for Trump. Trump's a racist. Don't do that. You have your ballot, fill it out, take it. You could do a whole apartment complex in a day, get hundreds, maybe thousands of people. But if you're looking for the GOP, you got to knock door to door, some rural areas. You can't do it as efficiently. So that's the only reason they're for vote by mail. If vote by mail obviously helped the GOP, they wouldn't be for it. So it was all a front for this. This Onward Together didn't do anything. Like these other organizations they didn't have any like street action to them. So more was involved from the top. And I like this, how they did, this is Washington Examiner again, Clinton world. So what they're saying is they're not tying Clinton directly to it, but this is Clinton's world. Clinton world swooped in, and now they're in charge of BLM, basically, at the very top levels. So this is what I said. Moore served as an assistant to President Bill Clinton, and she advised both Bill and Hillary. She went on to work as the CEO of the Democratic National Committee. So when I say that the Black Lives Matter movement was a fake, controlled opposition, I mean, you've got evidence to back that up. You can disagree or not, but this to me is evidence that that's what it is. You're supposed to be testing the racist infrastructure, the systemic racism in our country, and Clinton world is the one running it now. When it matters the most, when all eyes are on it, everyone's scattered and hid, like they got in the bank and they're out. Shows you how important it is for Clinton to come in and say, hey, put a force field around it. Media won't talk about this. When you got Clinton world involved, nobody wants those problems. No media is going to talk about it. Nobody's going to test this other than non-establishment. And then you get labeled whatever you need to be discredited. Minion Moore was a part of that Super Six that I talked about, executive council. Hillary thought she was so good. She is so pissed, still pissed that she lost that 2016. But Jake Sullivan's in the news right now. All these people have been in the news, and not for good things. Not for good things. Does everybody remember Uma? That's another story. That's another story that is sad. Uma Abedin was married to Anthony Weiner. You might have seen Anthony Weiner recently. I don't know if you saw him on with Sean Hannity. That was ugly. So every single person in this group, I don't know Jennifer Palmieri very well, but everyone else was tied to some very bad stuff. There seems to be little daylight between the Democrat Party and Black Lives Matter. So when I ask, well, why doesn't Black Lives Matter really ever challenge in a serious way? Sometimes they do, just to, they'll say a little off comment like Biden could do more, but they'd never go after them in a serious way. It was all targeted towards Republicans. It was supposed to be a Marxist organization. It obviously was not. It was fake. Patrisse Cullors is a capitalist, very good one at that. So that's where we're at. We need to look at a bigger picture here. What does this mean about the Democrat Party? When we look at the Democrat Party historically, people try to sell it as the Democrat Party that was the party of the Triple K is a different party than it is now. No, it's not. I thought it was too. No, it's not. The tactics they use are different, but their outcomes, their goal is the same. 13th Amendment, abolish slavery. Supported by 100% Republicans, 23 Democrats, because the Democrats were in the South. They wanted that free labor. I mean, if aliens came to the earth, they would be surprised to say, whoa, is that what it was? How did that change? It didn't change. It's just the approach is different. 14th Amendment, citizenship for freed slaves, 94 Republican, 0% Democrats. 15th Amendment, right to vote for all, 100% Republicans, 0% Democrats. The great Jason Whitlock wrote about this. I did a video on this too. I'll probably try to play a clip from that. But he's so eloquent. He's one of the best writers out there. He said, the Triple K was founded on Christmas Eve, 1865, by Confederate soldiers dedicated to undermining the racial progress sparked by the Civil War and Emancipation Proclamation. The Triple K engaged in terrorist raids against African Americans and white Republicans at night, employing intimidation, destruction of property, assault, and the worst type of crimes to achieve its aims and influence upcoming elections. What does that sound like? If you take the word Triple K out of there, what does it sound like? It sounds like BLM. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. BLM and Antifa, protests have primarily terrorized and destroyed property in Black communities at night. They've attempted to intimidate white Republicans. It's just the same thing. Protests have been violent, caused all kinds of stuff. Enforcement officers, we just saw this one, this BLM person with the attempted shooting. I don't have that in the story, but that's big news here. I wanted to read more about it. It's a cleverly marketed slogan. This is Jason Whitlock still, that provides cover for extremists to undermine racial progress and bully Americans to support Democrat politicians. It's not a coincidence that BLM riots pick up during election season and disappear after votes are counted. Like, we know that's not an accident, right? So why are we playing this game? We don't need to play this game anymore. We know what it's about. They are the same. Their goals are exactly the same. We know that now. There's no need to hide it. There's no need to lie about it. There's no need to be upset when we bring it up. It's okay. Everyone's been duped before. I don't bring this up to like embarrass people. I'm bringing it up because we need to talk about it. You've been bamboozled. You've been hoodwinked. You've been led astray, run amok. How can you not even acknowledge that? It's okay. It's okay to acknowledge it. Let me skip around in this video real quick. I talked about it. What is good? Osiris here to take care of his family. She talked about joining the Marine Corps while she was. This is in regards to Winston Sears. So let me play a little bit here. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson basically said Winston Sears, the lieutenant governor, newly elected Virginia, was basically a black face of the white voice. And my point was the same as BLM. They use Michael Eric Dyson to keep black people in line and to attack white Republicans. Is the same as the Triple K. Other side and the right wingers on the other side don't understand. So the purpose of that comment, so Winston Sears, she says things like, I would die for America. She has chants of USA at her press conferences. She says, I'm telling you what you're looking at is the American dream when she's talking about herself. She talks about her dad, how her dad came here with less than $2 in his pocket and worked his butt off to take care of his family. She talked about joining the Marine Corps while she was still a Jamaican because she loved the country so much because of what it had done for her. She was willing to die for the country. Those are the type of things she says, and those are the type of things that Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is portraying as white supremacy through the black face. Why would Dr. Michael Eric Dyson do that? I think his purpose is to make sure that black identitarians don't look at Winston Sears and see a different path, a different idea, and go a different way. If they go towards Winston Sears, they could lead down the path. I don't think Dr. Michael Eric Dyson cares about Republican or Democrat. Doesn't give a damn about that. It's establishment or not. So Liz Cheney is in the establishment club. The Lincoln Project, they're in the establishment club. But what if they go down the Winston Sears route? they could go down the populist route, the Trump route, the Bannon route, all that. America First route. That's out of the establishment control. So his purpose is to say, you ain't black if you go down that route. That's what that was about. Exactly like Biden said, that's what gives Joe Biden the ability to say, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. Though that person, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, gives Joe Biden the ability to say that. That's why he felt comfortable saying that. So their goal was to make sure that black and white Americans, that's where you put in the quote from Jamel Hill. She said, the messaging is fine. America just loves white supremacy. So basically she's saying, if you supported Winsome Sears and you're a white supremacist. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson says, if you're black and you supported Winsome Sears, you're not really black. You're black in face, but your voice and your positioning, your USA chants are white supremacy. So that's so Dems can keep power. So let's look at how that happened in the late 19th century. Historian Eric Foner observed, in effect, the Triple K was a military force serving the interests of the Democratic Party, the planter class, and all those who desired restoration of white supremacy. Its purposes were political, but political in the broadest sense, for it sought to affect power relations, both public and private, throughout Southern society. It aimed to reverse the interlocking changes sweeping over the South during Reconstruction to destroy the Republican Party's infrastructure, undermine the Reconstruction state, reestablish control of the black labor force, and to restore racial subordination in every aspect of Southern life. To that end, they worked to curb the education, economic advancement, voting rights, and right to keep and bear arms of blacks. The Triple K soon spread into nearly every Southern state, launching a reign of terror against Republican leaders, both black and white. What was the purpose that Eric Foner is arguing there? His purpose is saying that the Triple K organization's goal was to scare, attack black and white Republicans to stay with Southern Democrats. Isn't that the same goal? Yeah, that's the same goal. I'm going to end with just a summary here. Sometimes it's good to end with just a summary. And that's why I kind of tweeted this here. I'm going to end with a summary tweet. I want you to guess the group. They're funded by corporate Democrats, grifted off dead black people, facilitated the destruction of inner cities, took away inner city police protection, flooded schools with racism, hurting the curriculum, attacked the black nuclear family, and attacked religion. The Triple K or BLM? I think the answer is both. I'll laugh to keep from crying. Let me know what you think. All right, so that's all I had. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Lively chatting and comments there. I will do some comments here. Probably have a few more minutes to just chill and relax. I'm in the dark. My lighting's kind of messed up. But hey, I'll be like a black Batman right now in the dark. What's going on? Sean? Neil Johnson? I don't follow Neil. Neil, do you have a channel? We can shout out your channel. Thanks for stopping by, Sean. Jack boots are on the left as well as right foot. Okay. Neil, tell me. Oh, wait. Is that Neil? Oh, yeah. What are you talking about? I follow you on Locals. What's up, Neil? I follow you on YouTube and on Locals. Appreciate you stopping by. That's dope, man. You know what I love about Neil's videos? He is so optimistic. I love the energy. Love the energy. Neil is great. I found out about you through... Hey, Neil, what happened to Headlines and Echoes? If you know, that's how I found out about you. I found out about so many people like Her channel was unbelievable. Anybody else? There was a couple people that found out about me through her, and I was going to reach out to her, and then I couldn't find her channel. Hopefully she's on a different platform or something. She was wow. Wow. Do you know where she's at? So for everyone, just anyone who doesn't understand, there was this great YouTube channel. It was called Headlines and Echoes. And she would talk about her kids and her life, and she would do a video. It would usually was pretty short, like 2 to 5 minutes. And then she would talk about her kids or life, or just talk about these heavy topics in a vague way, and then always drop in like a life lesson. And then she would say, hey, I found this cool video that talks about it further. Check out the description. You know what? I think that's technically against the rules. I heard Tim Pool talking about that. I think it's technically somehow he knows all the rules. I think he said you can't do a video and then say, hey, follow me here or something. Salty Cracker does that, so I don't know how that is against the rules or not. Man, but yeah, she was great. Sounds like she needs, yeah, I know. I mean, anything. She doesn't have a channel anymore. Wow. Yeah, so Neil Johnson is great. I highly, and I do not just recommend any old channel. Love the channel. I appreciate you stopping by. Man, that's great to see. So I have a little bit more time if you have any questions. Some other topics that I had looked into and didn't, have enough to go with. It's maybe I can kind of, let me see. Can I share this? I'll try to share this actually. There's a lot of topics that I kind of start and I just sometimes never finish just because I just didn't feel like I had a full fleshed out take on it. This is a very small one, but did you know it's the 26th anniversary of Happy Gilmore? So somebody, Rex Chapman. So this is why it got my attention. So Rex Chapman, if you don't know Rex Chapman, he's a former basketball player and a leftist, corporate leftist. But this is a neutral tweet. I mean, I follow him. I can ignore the stuff that's really wackadoo. 26 years ago today, Happy Gilmore premiered in theaters. How's that for feeling old? Obviously, I remember that I was a senior in high school probably when that came out. My goodness. And then somebody, I think he put the video of the infamous fight with Bob Barker. Price is Right. And then I was like, man, look where we are 26 years later. We can't even just enjoy, remembering or, wallow in our sorrow of how old we are that we remember a movie that came out 26 years ago. We can't even just enjoy that on just a chill level. Somebody in the comments had to put where they superimposed Biden's face and then Trump's on Gilmore. So he got beat up by Biden. So I thought that was interesting. Like we can't even enjoy stuff anymore in a bipartisan manner. That's why I'm biased with the 90s. In the 90s, things weren't all like this. I don't know how I found you. Yeah, I don't know. You've been around from the beginning. Yeah, I don't know. I have to look into that. But thanks for sticking around, Casual Goats. But yeah, the 90s were so good. Eric July had that great take from a while back, like months ago, where he was like, in the 90s, it's like you had Martin, you had Friends, you had all the different sitcoms from 227 to Living Single and all that to Seinfeld. And, for the most part, it was all good. It wasn't any of this stuff that's happening now, but life changes. You have to adapt. It's all good. Let me look at some more comments. The truckers are patriots and standing up for freedom. Yes. Brave and with integrity. Yes, I did share the video where Benjamin I don't know. I don't want to mess up his last name. I think it's like Dicture. I'm terrible with names, but he came out with the video and just laid it out there. And it was on with Jordan. He was on with Jordan Peterson. I put it on the channel. If you want to see it, it's one of the most recent videos. And he said that there's only 2 demands. That's it. The first demand, stop the mandates. Second demand, no digital tracking. Great demands. Very smart for them to include that digital tracking, because that's no joke. We got to worry about that here. Oh, I was going to talk about the FDA thing, but maybe I'll save that for tomorrow. Anybody see the Project Veritas leak? We can touch on it, but woo, that was a deep one. That one was not, sometimes he has lower level people on there and it's like, okay, it's good. I fully support Project Veritas. Don't get me wrong, but this was an exec at a pretty high level that we were talking about. I mean, that was no joke. If you didn't hear it or see it, visit the Project Veritas channel. I do not want to short change on this. In general, what happened is that there was an undercover video, just like Project Veritas does, with the camera on the table looking up at the angle. They always got that going. But this executive's name was Christopher Cole. Let me share an article here real quick, and they'll be out after this. Thanks, everybody. I'm not going to get too in depth, but since I'm bringing it up, let me get something to reference. This is from World Tribune. Project Veritas FDA executive says Biden wants to mandate early things that you put in syringes for all Americans. I've been very cautious about this rollback. Like I said, they don't want to roll anything back. They're only doing it because of the midterms. And I believe this is possible. I don't know for sure. It's all alleged through Christopher Cole. He's an FDA executive officer of Countermeasures Initiative. This isn't some chump. He says that in the video that Biden wants to inoculate, that's a very strong word, as many people as possible. So you'll have to get this thing annually. I mean, it hasn't been formally announced yet. Man, this stuff is ominous because they don't want to rile everyone up. Like when could you announce that and not rile everybody up? After the midterms is what he's probably thinking, where it doesn't matter as much when you rile everybody up. So he commented on it. He was like, it's not a lot of money. Of course it's a lot of money. And it's your money, tax money, that's gone to it in part. It's a recurring fountain of revenue. If they can, they'll get every person required. He's expecting that kids would be required. It is a breaking story. When you get a chance, head over to Project Veritas in their channel. All right. Well, everyone, I'm going to head out. I hear the kids kind of screaming. My wife is doing dinner. I don't have to walk the dog today because the dog is at one of those doggy daycares. It's just too much snow out here. And we like this dog center where they just let the dog run around. I will have to pick him up, but I don't have to walk him. So that's why I'm not as rushed. I never got, oh man, y'all have jokes. Monumental Madman says, I never got my crack pipe. This is BS. We did get testing. My wife signed up to get those at-home tests just in case. Doesn't excite me, but she did get that. We did get that. We didn't get our crack pipe in the mail. I don't know who to talk to about that one. Future stories I'm working on. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She went after someone on Fox News. I forget who it was on Fox News. They were talking about the Freedom Convoy. And what they were saying was they said the Freedom Convoy, if they had the laws in Canada that If we here in the U.S. had the laws that Canada had or enacting right now, Martin Luther King Jr. would have been arrested. Yes, that was a cringe moment because, as you might know, Martin Luther King Jr. was constantly arrested for peaceful protests. So, just people misspeak. Here's what I got. So AOC had a yes queen moment where she said, hey, how's that book burning? I'm paraphrasing. How's that book banning doing for you Republicans? Because he didn't realize it when he said it. But the part that was real awkward is AOC is supposed to be a socialist, a democratic socialist, or someone who fights for the working people. The awkward thing is, and AOC knows this is awkward, is that the topic of the show wasn't Martin Luther King Jr. It was the truckers, working class truckers protesting. Isn't that what AOC is supposed to be for? She's trying to divert attention. So I think that's worth talking about. God bless you as well. Thank you. H. Minutchilla, thank you for stopping by. God bless you and your family, for everyone as well. They call it, the Honkler says, the Hunter Pipe Program. I think I have a drop. I put a drop in here from Carrie Lake. I think, do I have it? Yeah, here we go.
You really need to put down the crack pipe. Hunter's crack pipe.
That's how I found out about Carrie Lake, was that interaction went viral. All right, I'm going to do the outro. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by, and I will be in touch. We do have a Discord to keep the conversation going. I'll throw that link in the chat real quick if you would like to keep the conversation going. I hate stopping the stream when people are chatting. And I'm going to throw out what I want from people there is, if you want to do a segment on the show, if you have a topic that you're passionate about, I don't care what it is. I don't have to agree with it. It doesn't matter. And my style is I'm looking to find common ground and to get people to have their word out. So if you heard me on with other people on the left or right, I'm not really looking to argue with people. That's just stupid. That's a waste of my time or everyone's time, in my opinion. You can have a grown discussion. So if you want to get a topic out there, hit me up, Discord. And then I can give you a link to the stream and we could talk about, you don't even have to be on video. You can just do audio and we can talk about it, promote whatever you want to. So good. Just let me know how that goes. I'm going to go. I think we're going to have ramen noodles fancy ramen noodles with, my wife's going to make it all nice, not just the package of ramen noodles, but I think that's what's for dinner. Hope everybody has, I'm in mountain time zone, so I'm a little earlier than some of you in the East Coast, but I hope everything goes well. Take care, everybody.